But I want to just, it's hot, people are uncomfortable, but I am so touched. I see so many old friends, so many people that I look forward to spending time with. But I have to ask you all to make a commitment to me. And make a commitment to this community and make a commitment to our country. Because each of you has come here and pledged a precious thing to you, and that is your resources. But quite honestly, and as much as I appreciate that you have done that and that you've made a commitment to help re-elect Barack Obama and send him back to the White House. The easiest thing in the world to do is to, politically, is to write a check. Right? I mean, we all feel like, okay, I've written the check, I'm out. Exactly. I've done my part, but what is, as a busy mom with a lot of balls in the air, I can assure you that the most precious resource is not your dollars, it's your time. Yes. Your time, and that's what I'm going to ask each of you to make a commitment to me and to yourselves, to your community, and to your country. Give us your time from now until November of next year. Let none of us wake up on the day after the election next year and not know that we did everything we could in our own individual power to ensure that Barack Obama remains our President of the United States of America, that we return Democrats to the majority in the U.S. House of Representatives. That we make sure we re-elect our U.S. Senator Bill Nelson and not allow the Tea Party to continue to direct the political policy decision-making that we go in this country. We are at a crossroads. We are absolutely at a crossroads. Barack Obama has said it many times. I know that we've all heard the cliche that this is the most important election of our lives, but folks, the stakes have never been higher. I have never seen a more polarized time in Washington or in Tallahassee in the 18 years that I've been in office and in the 20 years I've been in politics. It is absolutely essential that we make sure that we not take for granted that everyone must know that the direction that the Tea Party wants to take us, that everyone must know that Republicans want to end Medicare as we know it, that everyone must know that all 9 Republican candidates for president actually raised their hand at a debate and pledged that even when faced with the most reasonable of requests, would you support a deficit reduction deal that would pledge $10 in cuts to every $1 in revenue? They're so extreme that they still said no. They still said no. We can't assume anything. We have to run the most robust, effective, massive grassroots outreach effort that any presidential campaign has ever seen in history, in America, and in Florida. Yes. We turned Florida blue in 2008, and we are going to make sure that Florida is blue again. We have to recognize that people are struggling. President Obama has taken this country from bleeding 750,000 jobs a month in the months leading up to his election and his inauguration, to now you fast forward 2.5 years later and we've had 17 straight months of private sector job growth. Since January of 2010, in this state alone, we've created over 103,000 private sector jobs, dropped the unemployment rate by 1.3%. We know we have to pick up the pace of recovery. We know people are still struggling. But we know that if we make sure that we continue to focus on job creation, focus on getting the economy turned around, and focus on making sure that we don't pile all the pain on the backs of people who have no voice, who can ill afford it, on the middle class, on working families, and on small businesses, and that we ask for some fairness and some balance out of the wealthiest and most fortunate Americans. We know that we can turn things around in this country. So make that commitment. Pledge to yourselves, pledge to me and your country and this state and our community that we are going to roll up our sleeves and do everything we can. President Obama inherited the largest set of problems that any president ever inherited once, perhaps besides FDR and Abraham Lincoln. And we need to make sure he's got our back. He is working hard. He's doing everything he can. Let me tell you something. I know so many of you in this room. I stand before you as a proud liberal Democrat. Someone who's proud. And I'm not afraid to say it out loud. I'm not afraid to say it out loud. I know the majority of you aren't either. but I'm a pragmatic liberal Democrat. I'm someone that understands that we need to strike a balance. And unlike the Tea Party, who have engaged in my way or the highway politics for far too long, I understand, like Allison and I explained to our kids, it can't always be our way. I mean, our children understand that. Why doesn't the Tea Party? Yes. Why don't the Republicans understand that that is not how we are going to move forward together and solve our nation's problems? Well, we need to make sure that voters understand that. And when we get to that day in November, when voters have to begin making their choice, we have to make sure that while they're standing on that crossroads, that we help them make the right choice. Because the result in the policy decisions that our children will inherit, if the wrong choice is made, we've already seen a snapshot of what that would look like. The Republicans have lifted back the curtain and given us a preview of what total control of the House, the Senate, and the White House would look like. And if we thought, under George W. Bush's policies, that it was bad, we haven't seen anything. We haven't seen anything. H.R. 1, their first priority, full repeal of the Affordable Care Act. H.R. 3, a frontal assault on the rights of women and our access to health care and our right to choose. I don't know about you. Looking at all the women in this room, I know you're ready to fight. I'm not going back. I'm not going back. I've spent my entire life since I was 6 years old with the right to choose, and I have never faced a time in this country when I felt like my constitutional rights were more vulnerable than right now. Than the fact that the Republicans have ceded all of their authority and the power to the Tea Party. We're not going to allow it to happen. We're going to make sure that they don't take over this country and take us down the wrong path. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Debbie.